Hi class, happy early Thanksgiving. I hope that you're all doing well. Let's get started by talking about your IRB applications. So you've submitted your IRB applications. In order to receive credit for submitting that IRB application, I need you to email me the approval email that you receive from the IRB 3 to 5 business days after your application was submitted. The approval email will say something to the effect of, your study has been registered with the university and been approved. That is what you need to forward to me, along with your group name and section number. And I will go ahead and get those points entered. If I do not receive that email from you, I cannot give you points because I don't know that you actually submitted your IRB application and were approved. Despite the fact that my name is on that application as your instructor, the IRB does not send me a copy of either your registration email or your approval. So please go ahead and forward that to me at your earliest convenience when you receive it. You should receive approval between 3 and 5 business days after submitting the IRB application. If it's early next week, by Tuesday, let's say, and you haven't heard anything, please go ahead and email me and we'll see what we can do to track that down. If you are one of the groups that has requested a simple random sample from the BYU Idaho IRB, that should come several days after your IRB application is received, usually within 2 or 3 business days. Sometimes you receive it all in one email. When you receive that sample, there will be directions on how to use that sample in the email. Follow those directions. Failure to follow those directions will cause issues with us and the IRB, and we do not want those issues. Okay, so you've submitted the IRB application, you forwarded me the approval email, and now what do? Well, as soon as you're approved by the university and you receive your sample, or as soon as you're approved by the university, if you're one of the groups posting on social media, you need to make your survey go live. As soon as you receive approval from me to submit your survey to the IRB, I highly recommend you start putting that survey in Qualtrics or Google Forms so that once you receive approval, you're ready to go. So you've received approval. You know what you're going to do. Now it's time to write that Facebook post or email requesting participants to fill out your survey. In that email, you need to include the title of the survey, the subject of the survey. You need to let them know that their participation is completely voluntary and will be kept anonymous, and that the data collected from that survey will be used for classroom use only. And finally, you need to let them know that they are welcome to quit the survey at any time without penalty. Those should be included in the Facebook post, in the first paragraph of the survey itself, or in the email. Somewhere you need to include that information. If you're one of the social media groups, it probably is easiest to include it just in that first paragraph of the survey that explains kind of what you're going to be doing. If you are one of the groups that are using a BYU Idaho sample, I highly recommend that you include this information in both the email that you send out and in the first paragraph of the survey, just so all of the people that are attempting to fill out your survey have been informed of the risks associated with their participation in the survey. And the risks are very minimal, but as researchers, we want to make sure that we provide that information up front and frequently. So your survey is out. It's exciting. How many responses do you need to collect? I know that's the first question that I always get. You need to collect 30 or more responses. I think that 60 or more responses is excellent because we want to collect more data. The more data you have, the better idea of how things are going in your population. So 30 or more responses is a minimum requirement. If you find yourself after 72 hours with 6 responses or less than 7 to 10 responses, please let me know and we'll see what we can do to increase participation in that survey. If you are one of the groups that is collecting hundreds of responses within 24 hours, that's awesome for you. Do not shut the survey after 24 hours. Let it run for several days and let's see how much data we can collect. I think that the survey should be closed by Black Friday, maybe at the latest next Saturday. You need to have time to do that data analysis, so let the survey stay open as long as possible. I highly recommend that you either do a reminder Facebook post, social media post, if that's how you're collecting your data, or if you're one of the groups using the BYU Idaho sample, then you need to make sure you follow the directions on emails from the IRB, but typically it's around 7 days. You can send them that follow-up email and request more participation. We don't typically see a significant jump in participation when that follow-up email is sent, but you should do it because you never know what you're going to get. Okay, so you've done the IRB application, you've sent me the email, you've sent out your survey, you've collected amazing data. Now what? Now is the data analysis. You need to select one person who is going to head up the data analysis. That does not mean this one person is going to do all of the data analysis for the entire group by themselves. It means this person is going to be the point person that makes sure every single one of those research questions are being answered. So that person could divide things out and say, hey, person A, you're going to answer this research question using the following survey questions. Person B, you're going to answer this question using the following survey questions. You need a point person on this. Without a point person, you end up with a very disjointed data analysis and you end up missing portions of the research questions. So pick one person, and that person needs to kind of assign out how they want that data analysis done, or that person needs to head it up themselves, whatever you want to do. I'm a little bit of a control freak, so I'd probably take more on it myself, but whatever you want to do. And then that person needs to look at the survey questions and the research questions together. Have them on two different screens. Print them out, whatever you do. And you need to make the connection. Like questions 1, 7, 10 relate to research question 1. Questions 3, 4, and 6 relate to research question number 2. You need to plan this out in advance. Before the data even comes in, you can begin this planning phase of how we're going to analyze the questions. And then it's a matter of plugging the data in and making those connections and drawing conclusions as soon as the data is available to you. But the planning can be done now, and the planning should be headed up by one person so all questions can be directed to that person. Okay. The data analysis needs to go a step beyond reporting frequency calculations. Well, the majority of your research questions can be answered by, for example, 12% of people believe that the flu vaccine is effective in preventing flu infections, and 88% believe the flu vaccine is ineffective. Well, that is a majority of the information that you will need to report to answer your research questions. In some cases, actually in all cases, you will need to go a step beyond that and look at connections between differing variables. For example, is there a connection between people who feel positively towards the flu vaccine and people with children under 6? Is there a connection between people who feel negatively towards the flu vaccine and people within a certain income bracket? Things like that. You need to look at this connection. A majority of that isn't going to be very complicated, but it is something that needs to be thought of in advance. And I will admit there are some of these connections that start to appear as you start to go through the data analysis, and you may need to end up adding additional analysis than you had planned after you start to dive into it. But this initial plan is something that you can start establishing this week and next week as you just are waiting for that data to start coming in. Also next week, due on the 21st, the day before Thanksgiving, is the Lesson 9 application assignment. And this is a sample data analysis. It is very simplistic. You're setting up the spreadsheet. But this is an individual assignment. This is meant to kind of refresh your memory of Excel. If it is taking you longer than 1 hour to complete this Lesson 9 application assignment, this is an individual assignment. Underline it. Individual. If it's taking you longer than that, please let me know. There is a video posted in last week's weekly announcements, and it will be posted again in this week's weekly announcements where I go through and complete that assignment. So, watch the video. If you have any questions, watch the video. Then my recommendation is, if you're struggling to do it, play the video in the background and do exactly what I'm doing as I do it. That way, you know, like, I need to work with column J and I need to work with column M. Things like that. It should help. If it still doesn't help, please email me and let me know. I don't want this to be one of those assignments where you're spinning your wheels and getting so frustrated, especially the week of Thanksgiving. So, see what you can do, and if you can't do it, let me know, and we'll see what we can do to kind of help you out. It's going to be an exciting week. We're going to start to see data come in. Our projects are getting more exciting. We're going to start to see answers to some of those research questions pop up. Remember, send me the IRB approval email so you get credit for that IRB application. Send out your survey as soon as you have approval and can do that, and begin thinking seriously about that data analysis. Remember, one final note, the data analysis is just a reporting of the answers to your research questions. You are not saying why this occurred. If you find out that 12% of people think the flu vaccine is effective, don't tell me why. Just say that 12% of people found the flu vaccine to be effective. When we move on to the discussion section, that final section of the research paper, that's when you're going to go through and tell me the so what and give kind of the meat of why you did what you did. But for right now, we're providing the background so we can do it. You're telling me exactly what happened. It's a little boring. It's okay. Okay, have an exciting week. Happy early Thanksgiving.